Hello guys, and welcome back to KSP RP-1, and today the space program is going up in the world. We shall be accepting the first artificial satellite contract and hopefully completing it. We also have the first scientific satellite contract, which will give us about 1 million in total, including the advance. However, we cannot do that yet as we need more science. Basically, I kind of done goofed. We're a bit behind on science, so I'm going to have to... you'll see later on, I'm basically just going to be rushing to get new sciences. But for now, so here's the launcher. We're going to, so effectively we're taking a Discovery, our latest Discovery rocket, the Mark III, and we're going to be adding upper stage. Unfortunately, this doesn't really pan out. There's a bit more to add to the rocket, but you'll see that later on. So we need around 9,400 to 300 meters per second to get into a stable orbit around Earth, which is a lot more than in regular Kerbal, you may realize. And we already have around 6,000, 7,000 with the downrange test. As you see, we got around 3,000 kilometers downrange, which is almost in orbit. You don't really need that much more power to get into orbit from there. It's just about balancing how much that second stage can actually push up. Because the thing is, if the third stage actually uses more, requires the stage below to underperform, i.e., it doesn't. Basically, if we make the third stage too heavy, we'll actually lose delta V. So we have to be careful about how we do that. We're just adjusting the fuel types, adding some HTP so we can actually use the RCS, so we can change our inclination, as you'll see during the flight. Adding 2 Aerobee engines down there. And yeah, basically just extending that fuel tank so it can have more capacity. Although, yeah, I'm trying to basically use procedural avionics to make a lighter probe core. However, the only problem with that is it doesn't really work since we don't have the right tech to get really light avionics. So here I am just putting on some more batteries on the regular one. But again, the batteries are very heavy, meaning we lose most of our delta V just from putting a small battery on there. So that's also a no-go. So in a second, we'll go to the actual final design. This is just me tweaking with small parts at the top of the rocket to make sure everything is working as planned. So here's the actual final edition, the Navigator 1. We have an RD-101 engine on the bottom stage with a stretched fuel tank because it's a fuel guzzler, that's for sure. And then on the second stage we have an AJ-10 early engine, an actual AJ-10, not just an Aerobee variant. Yeah, very efficient engine, but also unreliable at this current point in time. And then for finally on the third stage, we have a Aerobee AJ-10 variant, which should kick us just about into orbit. As you can see, our delta V is around 9,440 meters per second, giving us a pretty good margin of error, I would say. So that's that. Let's go to the launch. So here we are on the launch pad, just activating SmartAss and getting ready. Ignition. We have liftoff. Perfect performance from that RD-101 engine. That's very good to see. Wouldn't want this rocket to fail. So as you can see, the staging's a bit weird. It goes, so we have the RD-101, then we have RCS, then we have spin-up motor, and then we have second stage separation. As you may have seen in previous flights, that is because we must the avionics we have are not advanced enough that we can control the second stage. We have to basically orientate ourselves into the right angle while we're still going up through the atmosphere, still attached to the first stage, which is a small flaw, but hopefully we'll be able to fix that soon once we get some more science. But yeah, basically, because I haven't played very much Kerbalism, we haven't got as much science as we should have by now. So we're a bit behind, hence us launching relatively late compared to any other RP-1 series you may see on the internet. So hopefully from now on, once we get into orbit, I can unlock some more science and we can basically rush the tech. So here we are. That's engine cutoff, and we're going to be activating the RCS in a second. Just have to turn off Smart ASS because Smart ASS is bad and doesn't know how to use the RCS in this situation. So manually controlling it. Basically, I have to just push the rocket down to the right inclination. Around 2 degrees will do, just so we don't fall back into the atmosphere while we're burning the AJ-10 engine. Yeah, it's so far basically a flawless launch. Going very well indeed. We're just heading up to the upper atmosphere now. Now, we are against the clock here. We need to basically, we need to reach our orientation, and ideally what we want is that our AJ-10 second stage engine will cut out around apoapsis. Currently we're about 1 and a bit minutes till apoapsis, and it takes about 1 minute 50 seconds to use up all of the fuel in the AJ-10. So we're very much running out of time here. So we're going to have to initiate. There we go. Spin motors activated, and we have a successful ignition of the AJ-10 second stage engine. That is a delight. That engine while it's very efficient, and we're going to have to use it a lot, it has a failure rate of about 20% on ignition, which is bloody horrible. So, but there you go. So spin stabilization was a success. We're going almost perfectly straight, unlike some other missions I've done where it started spinning and it's horrible. I think the key to that is just not time warp, because if you time warp, then it just starts going weird. But there you go. So we'll cut to engine cutoff here in a second. Come on, any second now. There we go. All right, so we'll have engine cutoff here, and you see almost immediate ignition of that third stage engine, just so we're not wasting any time. We're already falling back towards the planet, so we're going to need to get into orbit nice and quickly to complete that contract. We need an periapsis of at least 150 kilometers. The atmosphere ends in Realism Overhaul around 140, so even if we could get into an orbit like that, that's not what we need. We need a tiny bit higher. As you can see, the thrust to weight ratio of this thing is insane, and we're already punching our way out of the atmosphere. Well, we're not even in the atmosphere. I don't know what I'm talking about at this point, but it doesn't matter because we are in orbit. We have made it. This is a truly great day for the space agency. And look at that, floating, orbiting just above the thin atmosphere that protects us. Beautiful, truly beautiful. Now with that contract, fulfilled, we get first of all we get 140 grand, which is lovely, and also we're in orbit, so that unlocks. This will be unlocking a whole host of new contracts for us to do, which will give us far more money than those petty sounding rocket contracts would. So yeah, basically all good. We don't have much electric charge on this mission, so we're just going to gather the telemetry data that we can, and then the probe will die probably just after the first orbit, if not before. And yeah, we're just completing the contract in a second. There we go. Contract complete. 140,000 as well as like 130 reputation. That's exactly what we need. We're getting quite popular with the people now. Now, unlike the actual British space program, we aren't going to be cancelling. Hopefully, we'll be going onto the moon and then to Mars and beyond. As you can see there, we're just going over the Gulf of Mexico. That's that. Oh, there we go. And the probe has died. A sad fate, but there you go. Moving on to another launch Navigator 2. Effectively the same, except we have more science on board. And we have liftoff. We have liftoff of Navigator 2. Unfortunately, this mission was not to be. Yeah. Unfortunately, that RD-101 engine, it decided to fail on us. So there you go, mission failure. Anyway, so we need to build ourselves a next generation launcher that will take larger payloads to orbit, as well as maybe to the moon. You never know. So we're starting off with a classic AJ-10 upper stage, where it's got to use that engine. Extremely efficient. As you can see, Obviously, this is without avionics, so without avionics, we can get around 4,000 meters per second of delta V, which is, when you see we add avionics, it'll go down to about like 2,000, which is far less, unfortunately. I'm just messing around with the procedural avionics again, but again, past me is dumb and doesn't realize that we don't have the tech required to actually use that properly yet. So there you go. Just adding, and there we go. We're just adding this, adding the first stage, buying the LR-105 engine, I believe. I'm pretty sure it's the LR-105. Yeah. It's actually the engine that the Sustainer main engine that's used on the original Atlas rocket, I think, as well as the Juno. But yeah, very efficient engine. You can have a maximum burn time of 6 minutes, which is lovely. Although its thrust to weight ratio is rather low, so we're going to have to add some booster stages on the side there, which will also be powered by some LR-105s. Yeah, and we'll move on to another launch, Navigator 3. Now, as you can see, the engines are slightly different. The configuration is a bit different. We've added 2 new things to the vehicle, well, technically 3. Okay, so we added 2 side boosters. They are the Tiny Tim boosters, and that's to accompany the new LR-105 engine that we've added to it, added to the rocket. That gives us, instead of having around 9,400, we have around 10,000 meters per second of delta V, giving us more than enough margin to get to orbit. So those those little Tiny Tim boosters are just to launch us off the launch pad, since the thrust to weight ratio is rather low. You can see we're skipping up, thanks to the power of editing. Don't want to watch the launch was very slow, let's just put it that way. And then we have engine cutoff. Once again, using the RCS, although it does not go to plan at all. Yeah, as you'll see, we kind of, for some reason, can't really stop ourselves from spinning like that. And we end up going basically completely vertical. Not very helpful. And here we are coming back down again. Lovely. So we're already at the apoapsis, so this mission's effectively doomed at this point. But the AJ-10 engine fails, and that basically cements this the Navigator 3's fate. The AJ-10's reliability is really beginning to show now, as we just burn up in the upper atmosphere. Now we have one more launch, a slightly unexpected one. You may be thinking, oh, we'll probably launch some bigger rockets. No, we're scaling down. We're going to be launching a Discovery 1, in fact. We haven't seen these for quite a while. They're very cheap and very quick to build, so I thought, let's use these, since we need to get more science so we can build those bigger rockets quicker. So basically, once we get the scientific satellite contract, we're going to use all of the advance, and we'll chuck it into upgrading our R&D as well as our VAB, so we can really rush out techs and vehicles, launch vehicles. So we got quite a high thrust to weight ratio with those Aero-B engines there. Engine cut off there, and we'll have second stage ignition in a second. There we go. Second stage ignition. Now, yeah, this is designed to basically touch space and come back down again, completely suborbital. But we see we've got a mass spectrometer as well as a pressure barometer and a thermometer there, so we can gather more science for unlocking new technologies. So that's going to do it for this episode. We have reached a new milestone for our space agency. We may not have beat the Russians or the Americans, but there are other places of which to compete. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye bye.